I don't know much about Russian culture, so I'm not going to attempt to conjure up some nonsensical crap about this game having deep ties to their roots. However, I will say it has to be the most accurate depiction of going for a simple walk in Moscow. Jokes aside, hROT is the newest arcade bloodbath that I'm covering, and boy howdy, it has a lot inside of it. Yeah, those are usually the good ones, the games with a shit ton to talk about. Thankfully, I'm a motor mouth and don't mind wasting my time talking about a Steam game that I believe deserves more attention. So let's get into it. In hROT, a game developed by someone much smarter than myself, you play as a disgruntled nobody embarking on an adventure filled with chaos and blood around every corner. I've been on a marathon lately of playing these arcade-style boomer shooter games, mostly because they're designed so well. Forgive Me Father and Incision are two other games that I'm eager to cover on this channel down the line, and I mentioned them because they're very much similar in terms of gameplay. However, I feel like hROT has an extremely sarcastic undertone beneath its very serious outer shell. It's a run-and-gun wreckfest with everything a Doom fanatic would obsess over. The guns are unique and effective. You begin with a pistol that performs a sort of reload animation after a handful of shots are fired. You'd think the base handgun wouldn't deal much damage to your enemies, but it's very effective and has a fast firing rate for a semi-auto gun. You also begin with a Soviet sickle, a devastating melee weapon that tears enemies apart at close range, though it's not recommended thanks to the gun-wielding lunatics on every map. A neat little detail that I liked was if you stand still for long enough, there's an inspect animation for the sickle. Looks familiar, huh? The most important thing I'm gonna drill into your mind is this. The game is very much a parody of itself. This is a scumbag's idea of an action shooter with its brown plaque digital graphics and sepia tone. Some might say it's an unplayable mess, but I think I like it this way. I'm not only referring to the style here. hROT loves to throw curveballs at the player that, I don't know, I guess are supposed to be inside jokes at times, but often just surprise me. What the fuck, did that skid steer just come to life and kill me? That's pretty screwed up. It's a troll's wet dream, that's for sure. However, it's unique, and I haven't played anything like it before. Therefore, I'm conducting yet another thorough review just in case you were curious about this underrated madhouse on Steam. Join me as we dive into hROT together. Your main enemies consist of these gas mask grunts that wield a fast-firing SMG. They're very predictable but should be taken with extreme caution. In my experience with hROT, most of the bad guys you're fighting are insanely accurate, tactically working around your flanks and constantly tipping the scale in their favor. Get surrounded by them, and it doesn't matter how fucking fast you can move your pretzel legs. You'll never be able to avoid their bullets unless you're attacking from a medium to far range distance. It's the fucking tub-o-lard demolitions guys you gotta worry about. They're bullet sponges and they're capable of throwing grenades at you. They time their throws with the player's movement, often predicting your path before even you do. They're super smart and tough. There's an enemy that makes a silly goblin noise just before lunging after you with an explosive barrel. Consider them kamikazes. They'll blow themselves up in order to stop you. I seem to find them catching me off guard a lot. Fuck, yeah, like that. Let me try again. Oh, shit. Same spot as last time. What am I, a fucking idiot? If you're going underwater at all, watch your smelly, swampy ass. The scent of your nasty ass cheeks will attract these giant piranha-looking things, and they're not friendly, nor do they look it. They don't take much to kill. I just use the sickle on them to save my ammo for the bigger assholes that you'll face. But oh, there's more. Like the hazmat shotgunners. Fucking weird things. They walk all over the place as if they're about to shit in their suits. Jagged as they may be, they're one of the more tougher enemies of the game, wielding the same Soviet shotgun that the player has. This is convenient for us because this ensures we'll get all of our shotgun shells back upon killing them. However, it also challenges us because just 2 shots are enough to bring a good run to an end. The shotgun in hROT is the equivalent of a fucking elephant rifle. I'm serious. It has impressive range, impeccable damage, and possibly the highest ammunition spawns in the pool. I find it hard not to use it as the other guns never have enough ammo for me to enjoy them. Perhaps one could say that's part of the parody thing I mentioned earlier. You do get an SMG at some point by either killing enemies or exploring secrets, but the ammo for it is rare, and you'll chew through it before you can process what happened. I would argue the developer did this on purpose to maybe avoid making the player feel overpowered. If your health goes below a certain amount, a heartbeat sound will play. Get used to it because you're probably going to be finishing some of these levels with barely any HP left at all, depending on your difficulty. I got used to the heartbeat sound because you're just going to take a lot of damage a lot of the time. There's no point in getting frustrated and upset with one area when you could just play it over and over again until you get better. I hate to sound super shallow with that, but it works in this game. And unfortunately, you can't upgrade player movements or your health or anything like that. Speaking of which, if you're looking hard enough, you can find subtle upgrades to your arsenal like dual pistols, which increases both your clip size and fire rate. I can appreciate a developer who respects action shooters enough to include all sorts of weird but unique items into their works. There's a lightning gun in the game, which, I mean, that just sounds really fucking cool. There's also bottles of vodka, of course there is. You'd think they would be a weapon, but no. You get 10 sips total, healing you with 10 HP per sip. It makes the camera a little wobbly, but if you can still shoot a gun, you can still play the game. Vodka is rare and it doesn't spawn everywhere, but if you find some, I highly recommend you hold on to it for as long as possible. This is a little fucked up. For example, look how hard it is to get to that bottle in there. I know it's tucked inside the little cubby or whatever, but your character moves so fast and has an inertia mechanic implemented, so it's like you're running on ice constantly. You have to be extremely patient and accurate when you time your jump. It's worth it if you desperately need health. Oh, did I mention that I wandered into this area and shot this statue in the center out of random happenstance only for it to come to life and start attacking me? A health bar appeared and everything. It made me chuckle for about an hour or so. Who the fuck is this anyway? The ghost of Coco the gorilla? Doesn't matter. This son of a bitch launches rockets from his hands and jumps after you like a drunken stepdad. This fight alone is what convinced me that the developers have such a unique sense of humor and creativity that it practically forces me to review the game. This can only mean that things are going uphill for a game like hROT. The gameplay itself is just so addicting to me. It's hard to describe unless you've sat down and played it. Each gun provides some unique way of playing and offers some tactical advantage over your enemies most of the time. Like Doom, standing still is a good way of telling the enemies, hey, I'm a fucking idiot and I want to die. Please shoot me. I gotta say, if you go into this thinking you're going to be able to breeze through it, oh boy, you got another thing coming, Buster. I want to make a comment about the secret areas. The more you explore, the more likely you are to come across a secret stash. However, I found them to be downright impossible to find on certain maps. Granted, I'm not playing with a guide or anything, but I spent lots of time searching high and low for these hidden areas, and I really didn't find many. Either I'm stupid as hell, or the devs know how to hide these goodies really well. So many levels have so many different pathways that it can be easy to get lost. I had a lot of embarrassing backtrack moments where I was just wandering around like a headless chicken looking for the right way to go, only to discover it was right in my face most of the time. And while we're at it, I might as well make a few comments about the negative side of the game. If you're gonna pay $10 to play the damn game, you deserve to hear about some of the more frustrating things. There aren't many, but there's enough to warrant this conversation. A lot of the game is trial and error. You'll be dying a lot if you're a first timer, no matter how acclimated your gaming skills are. Sometimes you're murdering 1,000 masked men and dodging bullets like Neo from the Matrix, but there are other moments that involve you getting your shit rocked. They'll bombard you every waking second they can, and it's never going to feel like a small amount. Thankfully, this game provides in full for those itching to get another Doom fix, but if you're not paying attention, you'll have to restart the level from a super far back checkpoint. You can quick save at any time, and as useful as that is, this game suffers from the same issue that Object N does. They give you very little ammo and very little health and expect you to know what the fuck you're doing. They throw 18 armed goons at you, all with different attack cycles that are unavoidable if you're preoccupied. The bosses, in my opinion, are a little underwhelming. The gorilla was a silly, surprising foe that I didn't expect to take on, but all the others consisted of boring, anticlimactic moments that I didn't think were worth mentioning. At one point, you fight some weird shit too. I appreciate the fact that they added a bestiary so you can get a detailed view of some of these oddball monstrosities. Like, what the fuck is that? A horse with a gas mask? Why? Even in Russia, the wildlife and domesticated animals like horses and dogs just want to eat your fucking face off. At least the horse has a mask, I guess. Ah, my god, what the fuck is that? A haunted sawhorse? A possessed picnic table? A cursed countertop? I don't fucking know, sorry. Either way, it's apparently a boss fight. I guess to someone, somewhere, this is comedic. But but I just don't get it, man. Worst enemy in the game? Well, I'm glad you asked. If you happen to notice these white testicles that float around, then congratulations. You found it. They're known in the game as Confident, which doesn't give me a lot of hope. They like to squirt 2 yellow pieces of corn nuts out of their mouth. The projectiles they use are angled in a specific way so that if you try to preemptively dodge them, you'll get hit anyway. To be honest, almost every enemy has a projectile of some sort, so you should try and give yourself a wide berth from them. I really do like how fast the game loads when you die, but this can also be a detriment. Once you click your mouse after dying, you'll instantly spawn at the previous spot where you saved. That means any people you've killed will also be placed directly back to where they were. Kind of a personal problem on my end. I just gotta say, try and quick save constantly. There are countless booby traps placed all over too. Oh, are you fucking kidding me? How was I supposed to know I couldn't walk across the subway tracks? The enemies get to do it, so why can't I? Shit. You have an option on some maps to ride a bike, but again, it's not really useful considering none of the maps call for this kind of vehicular mechanic. It feels like yet another troll. But I can kinda appreciate the thought here. Some players might not want to walk everywhere due to laziness. So is it possible the dev added this just to fuck with those kinds of people? I feel like the entire game is messing with me, both positively and negatively. When it works, hROT can give you a genuine laugh while keeping you invested in its dynamic world. A lot of the main objective is a bit repetitive too, but this kind of gameplay definitely calls for that. I wasn't expecting a 7-hour-long story-based adventure based on what I saw in the trailer. I was expecting a horde mode shooter with excellent guns and gun mechanics, which is what I got. It's just objective-wise, it boils down to collecting keys. Still, there are tons and tons of other ways the game charms you, whether it be with its very addicting and interesting gameplay, the compendium of creepy yet powerful enemies, or even its muddy pixelated graphical design. hROT earns its namesake on those alone. It's the better version of Object N in my humble opinion, and it deserves all the respect it can get. I really don't have much else to complain about with the game itself. It's just lots of fun and had me giggling at quite a few of its raunchier comedic tones. It's not Cruelty Squad levels of deep or anything like that, but it's just as satisfying with its destruction and madness. In between fighting the silly billies around you, your only task is to search the surrounding areas for the corresponding key in order to continue. Nothing is ever spelt out nor pointed to, it's left up to the player in their own conscious mind to explore the dungeons they're trapped in and exterminate the rats. Quite literally. I like that things aren't spelled out, and I enjoy the concept of being thrown off by the game's sense of humor when I least expect it. The level design is cool, but ugh, why the fuck is everything brown? I get the visual vibes are supposed to be an ugly mess, right? It's supposed to look like this aesthetically, but I don't think it did my eyeballs any favors to sit and play it for a few hours on end. Do that long enough and you'll start viewing the whole fucking world how Moscow does. I'm kidding, but in all seriousness, hROT is the kind of game I would happily recommend thanks to its addictive gameplay and weirdly quirky humor. It's the only game I've ever played where I had to kill a fucking forklift. So I'd say that deserves a 10 out of 10. Also, when you beat the game, you don't get the average "thank you for playing" message from the devs, but instead you get a random dinner recipe that I suppose you can try to make in your own home. That's pretty fucking funny. Imagine beating a difficult game and then you get a pop-up for how to make macaroni and cheese. I'm impressed with the large enemy compendium and all the individual ways they try to mutilate the player. I really liked the map designs and the various mechanics that come with them, such as moving slower in water levels, or dying when trying to cut corners by crossing tracks. As I stated before, it is a troll's wet dream, but it works as a really fun and enjoyable addition to my library. I might be an uncultured swine, but as Charles White said it best, ass-kicking is a universal language, and I'm quite fluent. Trust me when I say you'll feel the same after spending a couple hours inside hROT and becoming the Russian citizen you were born to be. It's a pretty damn good game, and I think you should try it if you get the chance. Thanks again for watching, everyone. I'll see you guys next time.